guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a client makeup tutorial. This is actually just my friend Savannah, and I'm going to be doing her makeup today. Right now she's just applying a little bit of everyday moisturizer. She did actually more than usual just because her face is a little bit dry. And then I'm going to be applying the MERCIER Radiance Primer. I did label this makeup tutorial kind of like a date night prom makeup tutorial just because I feel like it's appropriate. This group on Facebook actually recommended me using the title as date night or prom just because I was really stuck for the name. But it is the kind of classic red lip with super bronzed eyes. Right now I'm just using this highlighter from SMASHBOX. It's one of their liquid illuminators, and the primer had a bit of a radiant glow as well as this, so I really want this to be a super radiant glowy look. Next I'm going to be using the RCMA foundation, and I have the sampler kind of palette little thing which gives me a large variety of different shades so I can mix and match to get my client's skin tone. I'm doing it a little bit darker than her face color because I want it to match her body, and you'll see in the end after I'm done concealer and powders and everything. And I really love this foundation because it is almost skin-like. When you put it on, it's almost untraceable, and I don't know, it just gives a really flawless finish. I'm also going to be taking that foundation down the rest of her neck just because although the foundation matches the color of her body, sometimes the neck is just as pale as the face, so I'm just going to be taking that down as well. Next I'm going to be using this Real Technique sponge. This is one of my favorite sponges just because I find it's the exact same as the Beauty Blender except it's just cheaper. So, and also I found a really good technique to washing your sponges is using dish soap to wash them. So I don't know, that's just a tip if you guys are having some difficulties. This is Savannah's concealer. This is the NARS Radiant Concealer. I'm just putting that under her eyes and any high points of her face. This is the concealer I use as well, and I prefer this concealer, so if you guys are looking for a good concealer, I recommend this one. The first time I tried this concealer, I actually didn't like it, and you guys probably saw that in my Instabaddie makeup tutorial, but I'm actually quite a fan now. So yeah, I'm just going to be patting that out with the Beauty Blender as well. So next I'm going to be using the Chanel Tan de Soleil bronzer. You guys know I absolutely love this bronzer, but I haven't really explained in depth why. I really like this bronzer because when I apply it, it adds a tan and a glow without cakiness or product. So it kind of just looks like you have a natural tan, and it doesn't look like you're putting product on your face to use it. So I've even used this on my skin without any makeup just to tan my face, and it doesn't look like I have makeup on. So it's almost like a translucent bronzer in a way with color, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm just going to be applying that to all the parts I would typically bronze. Later I do add bronzer on top just to really set it in. I'm now going to be using the MERCIER Translucent Setting Powder. I don't like baking the face, I more take product and push it in. Sometimes there's a little bit leftover product, but I don't like that overload of product. I kind of like it to diminish into the skin. And before I apply this, I make sure I tap out the concealer under my eyes and any creases before applying the product, just because I don't want to set those creases basically. And I'm applying this everywhere that I applied the concealer to set it in place. I applied a little more powder on the nose than I would have usually just because she told me she had quite an oily nose, so I just really want to make sure it kind of keeps the nose from getting too oily. And next I'm going to be taking this Maybelline powder, and I'm just putting that really, really lightly over the rest of the face. Next I'm going to be using my favorite bronzer. This is the Benefit HOOLA bronzer, and this is also a Benefit brush. And I'm just going to be bronzing and contouring her face. And using that Laura Mercier translucent setting powder again, I'm just going to be going right under the contour. I'm not putting too much powder there. Once again, it's not necessarily baking. I do spread it out. And then basically right after I will brush it away. Using the Benefit Hoola bronzer again, I'm just going to be lightly contouring Savannah's nose. I'm going to be taking Laura Mercier translucent setting powder again, and I'm just going to be applying that down the center of Savannah's nose. And next I'm going to be using this Tarte Adventurous blush, which I think looks beautiful on tan skin. I'm applying a super light amount, and I'm just using a stippling brush to really get a light kind of coverage. Next, from BECCA Cosmetics, I'm using Champagne Pop Highlighter, and I'm buffing that on the tops of her cheekbones, above and below her eyebrow, corners of her eyes, and on the bridge of her nose, as well as on the tip of her lip. And I'm really buffing this so it's not too intense. From SANIAS Brow Bar, I'm using the mechanical brow pencil. This is in the shade Medium. Savannah does have quite dark hair, and I feel like a lot of you probably would have used the shade Dark if you had Savannah's hair, but I prefer pretty natural eyebrows, so I'm using the shade Medium, and I'm going to be filling them in. Once again, I only fill it in the places I feel needed and I want a little more structure, and I also do brush it out afterwards. And using the Alexa Persico concealer pot, I'm just going under the eyebrows and I'm kind of cleaning up the edges a bit. From Anastasia Beverly Hills, I'm applying the clear eyebrow gel, and I apply this so it has structure throughout the day and it prevents it from moving. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other eyebrow. So this is one of my favorite palettes. It's the Anastasia Beverly Hills Master Palette by Mario. The shade I'm going to be using is called Isabel, and I'm washing this over the whole crease and a little bit of the lid. I just want to make sure this is super blended. With this next shade, I'm going to be taking it on the outer thirds of the eye. I'm not really going to be taking it on the lid very much. I'm kind of just going to be bringing it out, and it is just a bit darker. It's a warmer brown. And this is Makeup Geek Peach Smoothie. If you guys are having problems with blending or you feel like you went a little bit too dark, you can always take this shade and blend it in, and it helps blend everything out. And using that Laura Mercier translucent powder again, I'm using it to really touch up the edges. I still want that shade to be really brought out, but I don't want that color to bring down her eyes, so that's why I correct it. And the shade I'm using right now is called Isabel. It's the first shade that we used, and I'm buffing the colors together. I just really want this look to be very blown out and effortless looking. And right now I'm using the Too Faced glitter glue. I just apply that to the lids because I believe the colors stick a little bit better. The eyeshadow I'm using right now is NYC, and I'm just putting that on the outer thirds of her eyelids, and it's basically a dark brown shimmer color. And for the rest of her lid, I'm going to be using the shade 5th Avenue. I'm putting it on the center of her lid and also in the inner corners. And I'm just going to be blending those two shimmer shades together, but also leaving them separate so it does have that gradient effect. Then after I apply the lid colors, I always go back with the crease just to make sure everything's nicely blended. I'm using the shade Isabel once again, and here I just decided I would keep this in. I also do go back and touch up the shimmers on my eyes, and I also put a little bit under my brow. For her bottom lash line, I'm basically doing the same I did on the top. So I'm first taking Isabel and I'm putting that throughout the whole lower lash line, and then the shade Violeta I'm just taking on the outer thirds. Using that super shimmery color we used on the center of her eyes, I'm now taking that on the inner corners of her lower lash line as well as her inner corners of her eyes, just to really brighten up her eyes. And now using the darkest brown, I'm just going to be using this to really lightly lining her lash line. It's almost going to look like it's tight lined, and I didn't want to use black because I didn't want it to be that harsh. I wanted it to look really soft. So firstly, Savannah applied her own mascara, and then I went in with the Bare eyeliner from Smashbox in her lower waterline. If you guys know my style of makeup, it's basically this. This is my style of makeup. I love shimmer on the eye, I love it super bronzy and kind of effortless looking, and I always like a white or nude eyeliner in the waterline. These are Kiss Lashes in 11. They are my favorite lashes I use on basically all my clients. And I'm using the Duo Eyelash Glue just to apply them. Since there is no actual harsh eyeliner or any liquid eyeliner, for this you have to be really careful to get it really, really close to the lash line, but not get them on the lashes. And I'm just using Savannah's mascara to blend the two lashes together. With this kind of makeup, I don't always prefer mascara on the lower lash line, especially if there's not huge lashes, just because I feel like it can bring down the eye, but it's really to preference to the client. Some of my clients really like Balm mascara and would prefer it, and some of them don't like it. For me personally and Savannah, we find that it brings down our eyes and makes our eyes look a little droopy. So this lip liner, I'm so sorry, the name is rubbed off. I don't even know the brand of it, but just get a really maroony lip liner, and then I'm using this lipstick, which is kind of like a bright red. If you add the two together, it gives you a really pretty kind of ombre lip. I do this at the end with client makeup especially. I do this on myself as well, but I take concealer and I just fix up the edges just because putting lipstick on others can be quite difficult. And now I just gave lip balm to Savannah so she could put it on and make her lips a little more moisturized. I decided to keep this part in because at the end of me doing client makeup on anybody, I always do touch-ups on the face. I always kind of reapply a few things to make sure everything looks good, and I also kind of reset the eyebrows. So this is the final look. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of date night prom makeup tutorial. If you guys did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you have any suggestions, leave it down in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in my next video.